is the biggest war, I should say, one of the biggest lies of the 21st century. Recently, Bassem Youssef gave an interview and he mentioned something very, very interesting. He shared this concept of two-state solution to pieces. Recently, also, Australian Prime Minister, he imposed sanction on some of the settlers in West Bank, saying that this is a threat to the two-state solution. Then you also have Western other governments talking about two-state solution. For example, Kamala Harris recently gave a speech asking for a two-state solution. When Roger Waters met with Piers Morgan in his show, Piers Morgan asked him about two-state solution. Roger Waters was very, very clear, and he said that he would rather believe Yasser Arafat over Bill Clinton, who was peddling these lies in the early 2000 year 2000 about a two-state solution. Let's take a listen at what Bassem Youssef is saying when he was asked about the hope of a two-state solution.
Is the source of hope. You know, Jon Stewart, who will talk about it from many angles, somebody you admire, a friend, he proposed a two-state solution. Look to the comedians for hope.
Yes, well, everybody's talking about the two-state solution, but Israel has said many times on Netanyahu and Bennett, like there's going to be no state solutions. They in the past is like even Naftali Bennett, he came in on Hard Talk. It's like, yeah, maybe in the past we wanted two-state solutions, but like, look, every time we give them land, they kill us. So no state solutions, and they are openly saying it.
But that's perhaps rhetoric.
The rhetoric that is supported by action. Because look at what they're doing in the West Bank that you said. They are cutting it, illegal settlement, piecemealing it. So how, if you have an intention at all to give them anything, why do you keep doing this?
And you've called it a bunch of little Gazas.
Yeah.
It's a nice little picture of what's happening.
Piecemealing it, because it is what happened in the past 4 months. The Palestinians have been microdosing on it for a very long time. Little by little. And we would shout every time when it gets too much, and then we shut down, and then little by little. But this time it was hard. It was hard to see the blatant oppression. And the word said, maybe the Hamas Ministry of Health are giving us the bad numbers. Maybe it's just human shields. And I laugh. There's 13,000 babies killed. Does that mean that there are 13,000 military targets hiding in their diapers? Because it is so...
More babies.
It doesn't make any sense.
More babies are
maybe it's just like, oh, oops, it is out of our heads.
It's hard to know what to do with those numbers. I mean, it's just one baby is enough.
But you know what happens? When you hear so many numbers become numbers. And you become so desensitized. And this is why there's a difference between saying 13,000 Palestinian kids dead. It's like Mila Cohen, an Israeli baby, 10-month-old. She was killed in her crib. And this is what we hear from CNN. We never hear a story about a Palestinian kid. That's why, thank you for giving me the space for saying the names of the Palestinian children that were killed just for 4 weeks. Like it's because humans needs context. They need depth. They need like a 3D look at what they can look at. But if you just give them numbers, they don't mean anything.
Is there some degree to where both leaderships, Hamas, PA, Palestinian Authority, Israel, all want war, like perpetual war to remain in power?
Assalamu alaikum, live here from Gaza. Gaza is not alone.
I don't believe that to be true. When he said this gentleman, he asked this question, Lex Fridman, whether Hamas, PA, they're perpetuating this war for them to remain or stay in power for a long time. I don't buy that narrative, but this is what Bassem Youssef has replied with. Take a listen.
That's an interesting question. But, I mean, let's admit something. The Arab regimes in the area have actually used the problem of Palestine in order to stay in power, in order to getting excuses to like have this enemy. And Israel, the Israeli government has used that too, and maybe the Palestinians. But but my problem with when going into discussion this is that the two sides are not equal. They're not equal in power, they're not equal in influence, and they're not equal in international support, especially by the United States. So Palestinians can, the people who have made changes in history were the people with power, the people who would have the ability to change things. And the Palestinians cannot really change it. What can they change?
Well, is that true though?
Okay.
With how much support the Palestinian people have. So just like you said, there's a lot of Arab states that are that will voice their pro-Palestinian position in order to distract from the own corruption and abuses of power in their own countries. But I don't think if you look globally, there's a complete asymmetry of power and public opinion here. Maybe in the press in the West, but if you look globally,
But do they have the same kind of weapons that the Israeli have?
so literally power, no, there's a major asymmetry of literal power.
Some money to their leaders? Does that make any difference? I mean, and also when you say Palestinian Authority, which authority are you talking about? Hamas or the Palestinian Authority who has been kind of a domesticated, kind of like a puppy for the Palestinians, who basically have been an informant for on their own people? And this is the thing also that kind of like really pissed me off when I was hearing the thing about these things. Like Hamas. Like, we have Netanyahu on tape confessing that he supported Hamas, gave him money in order to cause factions in between the Palestinians. So it's just like, it doesn't make, you just told me this. You just told me this. You just told me Netanyahu support Hamas. It's like, but Hamas, like, what?
I mean, to which degree does Netanyahu represent the Israeli people? Is a real question.
To which point does Trump or Biden represent the American people?
And to which degree does Hamas represent the Palestinian people?
Does none of these represent it, but who have the power in order to make the decisions? It really comes down to that.
Well, who does have the power? You're giving a lot of power to Israel.
Yeah.
But the Arab League...
What should Hamas do? What do you think we should Hamas do?
Continue doing what a charter says, which is trying to destroy Israel. And the role of the Palestinian people is to overthrow Hamas and get a more moderate leadership, probably. And the role of the Israeli people is to vote out this right-wing government and elect a more moderate leader so that there's a chance at peace with two moderate leaders.
So before Hamas even got to control 2006 Gaza, there was Ariel Sharon in 2000. And we all know what happened. And Ariel Sharon kind of like came up with this amazing policy of like breaking people's kids' bones in the Intifada. So Barak was also like, I mean, which one is moderate? I mean, I think Hamas is a product of what happened. I mean, we can, if there was no apartheid in South Africa, there would be no NFC. There would be no Nelson Mandela. If there were no Nazis in Paris, there would be no French resistance. And I'm not saying that, and again, don't want to be put in a position to defend Hamas or anybody, because you know what that entails. But those are like Hamas, again, not defending them. They went into October 7th. What was why did they did that? Like, release our hostages, the people in prison. Because if you're talking about people who were kidnapped, Israel kidnaps people every single day. And when they had the first exchange on November 4th, Israel released 400 people, 3/4 of them were women and children. Why are those people in prison? There's 1 in 4 kids that are in prison that stay in solitary confinement, which is by international law a form of torture. And you're putting kids through that.
Is it possible? So first of all,
okay, so before he asks the next question, I just want to make one point here. Recently, Netanyahu, when he spoke about the situation in Gaza and Israel, he was saying that, well, look, we are all in to release the hostages. And he showed a picture of I think, 4 years old child who is in Hamas's captivity. And he was pretty much talking about how much they want or how much they care about the hostages, the Israelis in Hamas detention, Hamas captivity. But they never talk about why October 7 happened, why Hamas went into Israel and tried to attack them and harm them. Obviously, that did happen, but what was the main reason? As Bassem Youssef said, and we all believe, the reason was because they wanted their hostages back. And at that time, Israel had over 5,000 Palestinians in their custody, without any trial, without any form of justice. They were being held against their will, and they were being tortured in solitary confinement. So it was Hamas who had enough of it, and they decided it is the right time to go ahead and launch an attack and to rescue those hostages. But how often you think about this? How often we talk about this? In fact, the only thing that we talk about when we talk about Hamas is that they are terrorists and they're trying to destroy Israel, And this is the narrative they want to establish. This is what they want to feed us. This is how they brainwash us, that Hamas is all for destruction. But the main reason why Hamas went into Israel October 7th is because they wanted to free their hostages. Children, especially children and women. Not their own fighters, because normally when you see an army or a group attacking a country or any territory for that matter, is because they want to release their own fighters. For example, Taliban, they did this many times. But for Hamas, it was not to release their fighters. That was not the main motive or main goal. It was to release those children and women from the torture and the oppression of the Zionist, the monstrous regime. Let me know in the comment section below what you believe.